Mr. Bales is having trouble logging in.
There he is.
You think it bleeds the energy out?
Are you in?
I'd like to go off.
Okay.
I'll try.
I'd like to welcome everyone to Jefferson County Courthouse. Thank you for coming out tonight. We'll begin our meeting. Commissioners, if you would, if you're capable, log in. Everybody except for Mr. Bales, I guess. But it looks like we have
So many times we overlook our blessings and focus on our troubles, our trials, our tribulations, and just the things in life that throw us off track from serving you and doing your will and bringing your peace here on earth. Father, we ask that you help us tonight to be good stewards of what we've been entrusted with here. We give you thanks once again for our county, our state, our nation. And we give you thanks most of all, Father, for the salvation that you offer us. And it is in Christ's holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioners, when you speak, make sure your green light is on your microphone, as the technology people remind me. I have our citizens' input. I ordered that I receive them. The first one is Taylor R. Hackbarth. I believe I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please come to the podium. State your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir, once you start speaking.
Good evening, my name is Taylor Hackbarth, and there's
I'm Jody Hackbarth.
my wife.
You can pull that microphone up.
Can you guys hear me? Our address is 764 Lakewood Drive in Jefferson City. And our main reason for being here is to address the new school and or renovation of the new school. I wanted our voices heard since we have 4 children, 2 of which currently go to Jefferson Elementary. It is an embarrassment to send our school there. The building is in terrible shape. The building was constructed in a time when lead-based paint, lead-based materials, and asbestos was used. That material has not been removed from that school. The school is full of black mold. I'm curious if any of the naysayers have children in that school, and if you would knowingly send your children to that school. A renovation would be wonderful, but can that renovation truly guarantee the removal of those hazardous materials? We find out in 10 or 20 years our children got mesothelioma from school, this commission would be on the hook for that. We just wanted to voice our opinion as having 4 children. We are kind of the minority in the county as far as children in our age. But it's a great concern, and it's a travesty we have to send our children to that school.
We've kept our children out of that school for 6 years because of that. This is our first year in the school system, but we've lived here for many years and paid taxes.
So on behalf of the parents of Jefferson City, I hope you guys will take that to heart and please hear what we have to say. That's all.
Thank you very much. Dennis Gould. Please give us your name and address, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dennis Gould. I live at 1626 Kinder Lane in Dandridge. My letter to the Standard Banner editor supporting the Jefferson Elementary School project was printed last Thursday, May 6th. I sent it also to each of the commissioners. And I mention this to encourage you to all to read an even more compelling letter preceding mine by heartfelt concerned parent Candace Spires in the same May 6th edition. Some extra copies are out there. A lot of people have seen them. Mr. Dockery, thankfully, responded to my letter, and I thank him for that, so I thought to speak to some points that we've all heard. Sadly, the comments say nothing about the complicated needs of young children and the crying need for technology and a safe environment in their school for everyone there. Not to beat up on anyone, it's a rejecting perspective mindset. Nowhere in the heard remarks is the quality of today's sophisticated, complicated special student needs mentioned. It appears that public education in Jefferson County is less of a priority than any other potential fixed financial need. The county is less of a priority. The comments speak mainly of taxes, property taxes, wheel tax, sales tax. Where's the consideration for a quality school building? The infrastructure of where is the consideration of today's needed education? 60+ years after the present school was built, today's clearly a long-term investment and profound community responsibility. The sorely needed, up-to-date, safe school for our children designed for the next 50 years. I served as a Tennessee Achieves mentor for 5 years. Many of you know it's a quality program to advance education and career opportunities, to encourage high school graduates to learn quality occupations and a better life. The Jefferson County Elementary School project is so much more than just counting kids K through 12, an attempt case for a no vote. Quality schools, including those treasured community school buildings, are paramount to people with children, especially at the elementary level. Just consider the added universal preschool and Head Start education programs we have as they factor into student success. They also provide new employment opportunities for moms and others. Clearly, like Tennessee Achieves, it's a similar quality effort to improve education in Jefferson County. The needs, again, relate to simple numbers, not present or anticipated educational and community needs. Suggesting that shifting students, for example, that the Patriot Academy perhaps be utilized for elementary or middle school students is clearly not designed for that population. Then too, a comment about a potential state voucher program, that it's not contributing to school growth. We'll see. Vouchers often expose weak programs, not addressing critical special circumstances, offerings, and procedures. Among others, State Representative, thank you.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Jerry Faisman admitted that it was his worst ever vote mistake. So please consider voting for that Jefferson Elementary School project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Douglas Ibbotson. If you'll give us your name and address, sir, you got 3 minutes.
Doug Ibbotson, live at 2510 Indian Creek Road. I've been in Jefferson County for 8 years. You can probably tell by my accent that I'm not from Tennessee. I'm from Alaska. And while in Alaska, I served on the town board of a small city up there and also as a county commissioner. So I know what these gentlemen and ladies are going through here. The thing's a little different up there than here. But anyway, the reason I was, I'm not going to really speak to the question of the school because I don't have any kids. I only know one side, and that's what I've read in the paper. I have not been into schools. I've never had any reason to go there. What I'm speaking to is I don't understand why when this body has a vote, that's not it. This is the 3rd vote I understand we're taking on the same stupid question. Now, I don't mean this question is stupid, but it's stupid and it undermines the credibility of this body when a decision is made supposedly in a vote, and then somebody or something or somehow you bring up for another vote, and then another vote. It's kind of swampy, and it really does undermine the credibility of this body with those of us who are county residents. This is the first county meeting I've ever been to. Not real big into going to meetings and politics and everything else, but think about what you're doing, all right? Make a decision, vote on it, move on. If the vote is to do repairs, start making the repairs. If it's to build, start building, but do something. Don't just keep going over and over and over the same thing. It wastes your time, it wastes our time. There's no value to it. It's supposed to be a non-political position. This sounds pretty political, if you ask me. Not getting your way and going on and on and on over and over and over again. So please make a decision. Make a decision tonight, whatever that is. Make it the final vote. Thank you.
you, sir. William Caldwell. You'll give us your name and address, sir. You've got 2 minutes.
Okay, William Caldwell, 688 Boxwood Lane, Jefferson City. I'm a longtime, lifelong resident of Jefferson County. Taught for 30 years, almost half my adult life at Jefferson Middle. Started out at Jefferson Elementary, so I was in the new wing, renovated part. I didn't experience what I've heard from this couple back here. I didn't experience any black mold or any problems at that time, but I've been out for 10 years. I've been retired for 10 years now. And so, but I'm a naysayer, I'm sorry. The concern stems from the fact I figured that this is the 3rd vote, and if this gets voted in, we could be facing some very uncertain, turbulent times in our country. Our economy could tank. You know that building materials are skyrocketing. So this 22 million is going to go way up, probably 25, 26, 28 million. I don't think it's the time. I'm all for doing this. I think if you wait for 1 year and maybe like what Mr. Robinson said, do something to improve the situation, clean out the black mold, get things ready during the summer. I think the renovations to Piedmont is excessive. Wait on the dedicated classroom for art and music, although I'm all for the arts. It's just wait on that a year. Do some other things, but see how the economy does, see how materials do, but don't go hog wild. I read in the paper that our property taxes won't go up. I don't believe that. If the economy tanks, they'll go up, and it'll be too late once the cat's out of the bag. So I think it's unwise to go ahead and vote to do a brand new elementary school and the complete restoration plans for Piedmont. So at this time. So I hope you'll wait. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michelle Light. You'll give us your name and address, Ms. Light.
Michelle Light, 2011 Ridgewood Drive, Jefferson City. I feel like I'm having a deja vu moment. Y'all ever had that where you feel like you've been somewhere before? Yeah, I was here 2 months ago addressing this commission. That night, this commission overwhelmingly voted against this, and I missed last month, and here we are again. I have sent letters to every commissioner here, and I would like to just ask, how would you feel if this was reciprocated? What if the vote had been yes, and other commissioners said, well, we got to discuss this debt more, so we're going to keep bringing this back? Is this going to be a new standard procedure? I definitely agree with the guy that spoke a while ago and said that this is disrespectful, this is despicable to keep bringing this back. It's time to put this to rest. The funding for a new building has been voted no. Now, if they want to vote to renovate it, maybe we can look into that. I've heard, from what I understand, there's not even true estimates. There's like a little estimate out there, but not a lot of estimates out there on the cost of that. So far, we've only seen 2 options. And I don't truly believe that there is only 2 options. I think there are other options. And sometimes in my life, when I'm faced between 2 bad options, this is a good time to step back, take a look and say, you know what, maybe I need to get more perspective, maybe I need to get more information, maybe I need to pray about this and figure out what to do. So I think this has created a lot of unnecessary hysteria for the people around here. And I think that there are other alternatives. One of the alternatives I read about was in the Post when David Seals mentioned a different plan. He mentioned that school capacity is down. And I'll just read one of the last lines of that. It says, the Jefferson County Commission should recommend to remain consumed by debt or add to this debt with our ability to provide educational services in the future and address needs of the schools will be greatly diminished. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Mount.
name's Laura Millette, and I live at 847 Stonegate Shores in Dandridge. I don't think I have to tell people here that providing a quality education for all children is an investment in the future, and public schools are the heart and soul of every community. They are also the economic engine. Pride in public education makes a community stronger, and excellence in public education makes a community more attractive to new businesses, residents, and high-quality teachers. At a time when we should be thoughtfully investing in our public schools, it appears that some have been more concerned over the past about a venue for the county fair. This is not the responsibility of the school board or the taxpayers. And others seem to be paralyzed by fear of potential future and unknown needs. There is really nothing more important than safe, healthy, and reliable school facilities. I support our public schools because I care about this community. I moved here about 5 years ago. My children were educated where I lived for 25 years over in Maryville, but I want to have pride in the schools in the community where I live right now. I believe that public schools are one of the best uses of our public money because we all benefit from educated citizens. I also believe that Dr. Shane Johnston and the Jefferson County School Board have been responsible in their review of the options and their recommendation of replacement over renovation of Jefferson Elementary School. If a building has good bones, it's worth renovating, but sometimes it's better to start from scratch. And I urge you to replace Jefferson Elementary School. Thank you.
Daniel Smallman.
Yes, my name is Daniel Smallman, 2355 Forester Road in Newmarket. On the issue of the school, if you have a job, a regular job you work, no one has a right to tell you how you spend your money. When you get a job in the commission, you're spending tax dollars. That money doesn't belong to you. It belongs to all of us. Anytime you're going to spend these tax dollars for a school, multiple options need to be on the table, more than just scrap the school and build a new one, or don't. To my knowledge, the only options put before this body so far have been that. Nothing has been said so far about renovating to this body. The school board needs to do better about getting all those options to you so that you can make a better decision how to spend those tax dollars. It's floated around the county since these past few months. Several members have conflicts of interest. They have spouses or family members working in the school system. They should not be taking place in a vote. They should abstain from that. To the best of my knowledge, the school board is in charge of upkeep of these buildings. They're supposed to check every so often with the administrations, see what needs to be done, come before this body requesting money to make those repairs. Apparently that's not getting done. The voters need to do something about that at the next election of the school board. The children are definitely our future. That being said, we as parents care about their education and upbringing. But in doing so, we also need to make sure that they're not saddled with unnecessary debt. They need to get that education in a clean, healthy facility. But they don't need to be paying for it, their children paying for it, and their children paying for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smallman. That concludes our list of appearances of citizens. Let me remind you this is a special call meeting just for the purposes that are listed on your agenda. Mr. Herndon has provided you a list of notaries and bonds to be approved. A motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Scarlett. No. Second by Mr. Solomon. Without opposition, go ahead and vote. No other comments? Passed by majority 18-0. The next one is Regional Planning Commission. It's mayoral appointment, Mark Chambers to replace the continued term of Connie Madsen. That term will be up in October. Motion by Mr. Coleman, second by Mr. Byrd. Any other nominations or discussion? If not, proceed to vote. Passed 17-1 abstain. That brings us down to the finance director and maybe the budget committee on the school amendments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. First one is general purpose 141 for the school's budget amendment number 16, 1 through 9. The big issues on it are revenue for summer learning and bridge camps. Does not use any fund balance. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Comes from committee, needs no motion. Any discussion? If none, yes if you approve, no if you're against. Let's go ahead and vote. Oh yeah, I skipped the resolution. I'll back up here. 141 passes. Let's go ahead with school amendments and I'll go back and get that resolution. Motion carries 18-0.
General purpose 141, budget amendment number 7. State grants, diabetes, and additional salary funding that was in reserve, bringing it to the right line item, Mr. Chairman. So moved.
Motion comes from committee, needs no second. Discussion. Seeing no request to speak, I go ahead and vote. Yes if you're in favor, no if you're against. Passes by majority 18-0. I skipped over resolution 2124. It's a funds transfer from schools to federal projects. Mr. Lang, do you have anything to say about this resolution?
Not unless there's questions.
Motion to approve will be in order. Motion by Mr. Solomon, second from Mr. Bales. Any questions? Anyone request to speak? Hearing nor seeing any. Yes if you're in favor, no if you're against. Passed 18-0. Next item is a request from our last meeting, a motion regarding new Jefferson Elementary building funding. Ms. Thomas.
I'm going to stand up because some people said they can't see me up on the back row. You can't hear anything. I make a motion that we form a committee composed of the following: 2 county commissioners, which would include myself and Greg Bird, the mayor, the finance director, the director of schools, and 2 school board members to develop a funding plan for the Jefferson Elementary School and other school needs, and to vote on the report at the June meeting.
Read that list again.
2 county commissioners, myself and Greg Bird, the finance director, the director of schools, and 2 school board members.
Sir, a second.
If I'm understanding it correctly, I'll be glad to. She wants, Katie, I don't care, somebody. You want to make a committee to come back and bring a report so that we can move forward and quit bringing the same stuff back.
Yes.
Go ahead, Katie, I'll let you.
Let's see if she gets a second. I have a motion on to form a committee. And I don't know how you worded it, but let me have that. That make my life easier. Second by Katie Huffman. The motion is to form a committee composed of 2 commissioners, Ms. Thomas, Mr. Bird, the mayor, finance director, director of schools, 2 school board members to develop a funding plan for the Jefferson Elementary School and other school, and vote on the report in the June meeting. We have a second by, I thought I had a second. Second by, Jim Carmichael requests to speak.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is that this motion has been voted down 3 times. I can appreciate what Ms. Heidi's doing, but in the spirit of the motion, in the spirit of how this commission has always worked, that this should come out of the work session. And there should have been an open discussion about who you're going to put on a committee to do anything in the work session. This commission, my 3 years as chairman, has never voted for any kind of money expenditure without it coming from a work session. So in correct procedure for this commission, therefore, Ms. Heidi, I will move to amend her motion to send this to the next work session of our next upcoming work session, where she can totally explain what she wants to do to all of us in a work session setting to where everybody can talk about it. And that would only be right for this commission.
You're making a motion to amend. Say again, Jim. Mr. Carmichael. Your motion is to amend.
Amend her motion to move it to the work session, to where she'll have ample time. She can explain everything she wants to do, and you can work on every what you want to work on. But a special call meeting is not the proper place. That's my point of view.
So, Mr. Herndon, I have an amendment, motion from Mr. Carmichael. Is there a we're a little faster than Frank's fingers.
Do it right.
Second, Mr. Carmichael has a motion to amend, second by Mr. Douglas. The floor is open for discussion. Anyone that'd like to speak to this, please hit request to speak. Hearing none. The motion is to amend. The amendment is to change it, to move this to the next work session. This motion. If you're in favor of amending the motion, moving this to the next work session, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. So it passed by a majority. The amendment, so the motion is now amended, and I'll try to get this right. The motion is to form a committee composed of the following people that we named. The county commissioners.
Whoa.
So,
No, what you're voting on. You're voting on the motion as amended, which states that it's to be put on the next work session calendar. This item, it has not. You're not voting on forming a committee.
I'm with you. So that moves this to that calendar. So even though we amended the motion, I'm going to vote on the amended motion. I don't care.
You're voting on. You are voting.
You've done
on the
voted on the
amended
amended motion as well, vote.
Now,
you're voting on. You voted on the amendment. You're now voting on the vote.
as
Motion
amended.
as amended.
As amended, which is the same motion but moves it to June. Or the next work.
No, you struck the language and it moves the item to June.
That's right.
It does not, you're not voting on the committee. You're voting on moving it, the
For
item to
discussion.
June, for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, we got one for the budget hearing and then we got to pass the budget in June.
So as I understand the motion now, as it is amended, the discussion and conversation about this committee or Jefferson Elementary School is being moved to work session, the next work session, which would be at the county budget meeting in June. If there's a work session before it. If not, it would be July.
we've got to hold a work session,
Special
which
call.
it's a cause, but it will be in June, because we've got to hold a hearing on the tax levy
That's right.
and everything. And then you'll hold a meeting, a voting meeting on that,
Okay.
at the end of June.
Ms. Hudbaker, you request to speak.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Well, since we're not gonna meet for a couple months, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And I wanna talk about capacity because of the information that's out there that keeps getting circulated. And this is based on my knowledge, some common sense, and some research. So the Lewis Group study for capacity and needs assessment, page that keeps being referenced.
Mr. Chairman.
That's not,
Can I not go with this?
that's not pertaining to the motion.
It's not pertaining to the
Work
motion.
session, put it on work session. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
If it's a special call.
All right.
Ask Frank, put it on work session.
Well, I wanted to ask the superintendent of schools if he could provide us some information, but I'll just ask him in person, privately, to add to our next.
That's fine.
Thank you.
The only thing that we're discussing is the work session, where this motion has been, where it's been moved to the work session in June. Mr. Scarlett.
I'd like to offer an amendment to that amendment. That
Okay,
after, immediately following that work session where we discuss this, that there is a special call meeting to vote on the outcome of what we discussed in the work session, since this is a timely matter. That same day following, when we adjourn the work session, then have a special one-item call meeting to vote on that item. Nothing else, just that item.
Work session, let's vote now.
I made a motion.
do you have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Jefferson requests to speak.
Well, I guess we'll deal with what's going on here first.
Okay. Ms. Hudbaker.
Okay, I'm kind of confused,
Hold on.
because if this motion passes, that group will have to have time to research to come back to us. So,
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion,
That's what
You withdraw your amendment?
or my amendment.
well, maybe we need to have a meeting as soon as the committee comes up with a solution.
Well, what I was trying to do was vote on the form of the committee, because you can't vote, you can't move the motion to form the committee. But if that's not what you all want, I'll withdraw it, but it's not to vote on anything that we're doing, it's to vote on to form the committee, because I assume that's what Ms. Heidi was trying to do with her motion, was to form the committee. So after we worked on it at the work session and had the discussion, we'll have to take a vote on the motion that she's proposing right now, at that time.
So are you, amendment still there, withdrawn,
It's still there.
and we have a second? So,
Yes, me.
Mr. Jefferson, are you wishing to address the amendment that's on
Well, I just want some clarification. Is the work session we're speaking of June or July?
the June?
We've got to have and then at the end of June, we'll have a regular voting meeting to vote on the budget.
But there's not a scheduled work session, is what I'm getting.
Yes.
Yes?
The work session is where the hearing is.
Okay.
It's already scheduled. And it's got to be so many days prior, Mr. Lehman, help me on that. It's got to be so many days prior.
I'm looking.
It's got to be so many days prior to the vote, and it has to be so many days after the budget's published. Yeah.
Public hearing 14th, budget 28th.
Okay. So we have a meeting scheduled for the 14th, which is the hold a public hearing, and it'll be basically a work session. And we'll hold a public hearing on the tax levy. And then on the 28th, we'll have a meeting to vote on the budget. So what I'm asking is, after that work session on the 14th, we hope we have a special one-item call meeting for the purpose of either voting this committee up or down
On the 14th.
on the 14th, because you can't vote the work session.
Okay.
So it's a non-voting meeting.
Yeah.
So
he's just saying we have two different.
Ms. Huffaker, any request to speak? No. Mr. Jefferson, did you still need to speak?
No, let's go ahead and call for the question.
Okay. Any objection to calling for the question at this time? So let me see if I can get this correct. So we have the original motion to form the committee. That's been amended to be moved to the work session on June the 14th. If you should come to arrangement of a committee, or either way, there'll be a special call meeting immediately following that work session to vote that committee in as a committee, which would be an ad hoc committee.
Or to turn it down.
Or to turn it down, so that you can vote in favor or vote against the committee. But June 14th at the work session, you would discuss it. You'd have an opportunity to vote in or vote out after that work session. If you're in favor of the motion as amended with this amendment on it.
You've got a request to speak up there.
Mr. Snodgrass, I'm sorry you can't.
That's okay. And just for clarification, can you please define one more time what would be the function, the roles and responsibility of that committee?
To develop a funding plan for the Jefferson Elementary School
And other schools.
and other schools and vote on the report.
But that's why it'll all, she'll get her a chance to find out, do all that at the work session.
Any requests? Go ahead.
Point of order.
Go
I
ahead.
hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you can't just pick a committee. It may have to actually go to the committee that does that, called the nominating committee. So therefore, you probably need to look into that before that work session, so you got this figured out before you get there.
Didn't Jefferson call for a question?
They did.
So we shouldn't be talking anyway.
But point of order takes precedence.
Point of order takes precedence, higher motion. Just merely trying to save you time.
Question's been called for. All in favor of this motion amended with this amendment to it, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. What you're voting on is on June the 14th, there will be a work session for a committee to be recommended at a special call meeting afterward, or voted in or out. And according to Mr. Carmichael, prefer to nominate. So, if you're in favor of doing that, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Motion fails.
Okay.
So we're back
The motion is amended.
to the motion as amended.
It stands.
And it stands. And we haven't voted on the motion as amended.
We got to vote on it.
So the motion as amended.
June work session. Discussion.
At our next work session, which would be in June. And that's to be discussed at that time. And no other action is attached to the motion. Anybody wish to speak? If not, Mr. Fagan.
What I want to speak about, actually, I need to speak about after this, and I just didn't want us to adjourn before I got an opportunity to.
Just wait, Mr. Reed.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the next work section will be concerning the budget.
Yes.
That's one of the major decisions we're going to have to make. I think and what is that, a little over 30 days from now? We've got the end of the year coming up. I'm gonna I need to make an amendment, not just request to speak. Okay.
Are you making an amendment?
I make amendment to move this to the July meeting. That's after the fiscal year. There's a lot of things going on within our country, as some of our citizens have stated. We really don't know how much money coming from COVID relief to take care of some of the repairs needed. There's a lot of things I think both of us sides need to take a look at. I know there's a lot of research has went in on both sides. I think it would be more appropriate to move this to July.
So you make a motion to amend it to July. We have a second by Mr. Bales.
No, we don't. We need to do something about the school system. I don't know how my name's up there for second, that's BS.
That's your second time.
We went back to Frank this time. Do we have a second to? Can you amend it on there, Marcus? Have you do that?
That was a new motion, was it not? That's a brand new motion.
He said amendment.
Motion to amend to July.
We haven't passed the original motion, so it's amendment to the original. So we have a motion to
So it's an
amend.
amendment to the amendment,
That's right.
Yes.
or to the motion as amended.
Motion to, yeah.
It's an amendment to the motion as amended.
Do we have a second? Amendment dies for lack of a second. All right, Todd Jefferson, got a second, sorry. Request to speak. Anyone that wishes to speak to the amendment to the motion as amended. Refer this to the July work session. If not, Mr. Scarlett.
We can keep putting this off down the road. And we can move it to December.
That's right.
But it still doesn't change the fact we gotta do something and we gotta make a decision. So I would be opposed to delaying it to July when we can discuss it in June, because that's our next meeting. I don't see why holding it off a month. It's not gonna change the amounts. It's not gonna change the outcome.
Well, if it's not gonna change the amounts or the outcome, why even vote on it again, because we voted on it 3 times?
There you go. Amen.
Well, then what are y'all gonna do?
Right now, we're talking about amending the motion and moving it to July. Mr. Reed.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Scarlett, kicking the can down the road, my goodness. We voted on this 3 times already, as a lot of the citizens picked up, we said no. So we're adding this on to the agenda for the July meeting, so we have more time to discuss it. If it, I've said something.
Mr. Carmichael.
Call the question, please. Thank you.
Anyone opposed to call for question? See no opposition. If you're in favor of moving the motion as amended to July, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
Yes, if you're opposed.
No, yes if you want to move it to July, no if you're opposed. So the motion is not, fails, it takes 11. Takes 11 votes. So the motion as amended, with this amendment fails. So we're back to the original motion as amended. And that would be, bring it up in our next work session, which will be June the 14th. See no request to speak. We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor of the motion as amended, which will be the June meeting, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
done voted on this.
Vote
No,
on
this
amendments.
is the motion as amended. This is your deal.
You need to keep up. Oh, I'll keep it up. You the one's behind.
Motion as amended passes 12-6. Mr. Fagan, you had a point to bring up.
I'd asked at our last meeting that rules of procedure be put on the agenda for our next quarterly meeting. Instead, I'd like to have it put on our next meeting.
Okay. So, there are no other items on our special call meeting agenda. We are adjourned.